Okay, how you doing? So welcome to another event with Dublin Coding School. This is a lunchtime panel discussion where we're going to be looking at the role of the web developer, the full stack web developer, and we're going to be featuring the Dublin Coding School web development lecturing team. Just before we start the main event, for those who don't know who we are, we're a tech education provider. We're based here in South Dublin. We have courses in, obviously, web development, but we also have courses in data analytics, software testing, automation testing, and UX design. And we're also developing a course in cybersecurity. So a lot going on. But today we're going to be looking at full stack web development, which is a course that runs every month with a group of up to 12 students. So the groups are small to make them as interactive as possible. It's online. After the course, it runs for 8 weeks. You get a certificate, and you also will have created a website to show as part of your portfolio to possible future employers. As part of the course, you also get access to the Career Centre, and that's where we help you with your CV, your online presence, and we share your profile and CV with our partner companies. And they're companies who we've partnered with who hire in these areas, and they let us know when they've open roles. We share the profiles of our students with them. So I'll talk a little bit more about that after the discussion, but I'd like to now just quickly introduce our two lecturers. Maybe first I'll come to Deepali, who is a full stack web developer at Rent the Runway. Deepali, maybe if you'd just like to give us a bit of your work background and your professional background in web development, just for the viewers there.
Yeah, so I recently joined Rent the Runway back in October, and then I completed my master's in information systems from UCD. So before this, I have 7 years of experience of working as a full stack web developer back in India, and now I'm working as the same at Rent the Runway.
Great, and Jamie, I'll now come to you. Maybe if you just give us a bit about, maybe just briefly, who you are, where you come from.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, my name is Jamie. Recently joined Dublin Coding School, but I'm a full-time full stack developer with a company called Medserv. We operate from South Dublin as well, medical billing company, and we were working with on the full stack. It's kind of an enterprise system, so we've got a lot of kind of internal users and then client-facing users as well. And we develop an ever-growing system. We develop new and maintain existing parts of that. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much. So we'll maybe come back to Deepali there. So how did you get involved in web development?
So for me, web development, I started learning early in my life, I would say. So when I was 17 years old, so I was a big fan of cricket. So I used to watch cricket with my father all the time. So I wanted to create a website about cricket. So everything about cricket, the cricket matches, every cricket team that we have that is linked to ICC. So that is when I started learning HTML, CSS, and then gradually JavaScript. And then while I was developing that website, I realized that I have this is my passion. So I want to go into development, web development. I want to create a website with a nice user experience. And since then I got into formal education, and then I did my engineering in computer science, and I have been working as a developer now since then.
Great, thank you very much for that. By the way, if you are watching this and you have any questions whatsoever, just type them into the feed underneath and we will get to all questions. So if you're thinking about changing your career to work as a web developer, or you're interested in the role, just type that in and we'll get to those questions. So Jamie, we'll just maybe come to you with that question. So what got you into web development?
Yeah, it's a good while since I was first in college, but I did a kind of mainline computing or programming in college. I always kind of went for the application development streams were available in any of the kind of modules in that course. And then from main projects, I kind of went into I was all even back then I was kind of interested in internet and how internet works, even though a lot of that course was kind of more mainstream or basic programming, compiled languages and things like that, not necessarily on the web. And then more recently, then when I got more into it professionally, yeah, it's just still kind of was interested in the internet side. It's kind of a hugely growing industry. There's a lot in it, as you well know, like just the internet and how it works. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's just I was more attracted to the internet side rather than compiled languages, I guess.
Right. Okay. So look, if you're at Medserv now working on the team, you're what would a usual day look like? Your working day, just for the benefit of anyone who's there thinking, what if I do the course and I get a job in this? What will I be letting myself in for?
Yeah, it's we're a very busy team. I'm in a team of 8. I think it was I've been there for 7 years now, over 7 years, and it was 2 before I started, and then 3, and it's grown to 8 in that time. So we're a growing team, and the reason we're growing is because we're very busy. So yeah, it's kind of a case with us of kind of checking incoming issues, tickets, and feature requests. So you'd start in the morning and just browse your emails, and there's a ticket system as well. So kind of as you write code and release it, it all has to be, if it's successful and people are using it, it all will have to be covered as time goes on. And a very successful piece of code, you release it and you won't hear back about it. But usually, something might happen. Even let's say 10 years later, somebody's still using it. Something is probably going to change along the way. So you might have to adapt the code slightly to accommodate those changes. Even a change in an address or a company name. But the range is huge of what you could have to do in a day, based on all the code that's been written in the past 10 years or whatever. But once you've kind of got on top of tickets to do with maintenance, there's always new features that need to be built too. So yeah, like there would be days there when you can go ahead and build some new stuff. We have a nice bit of freedom in our place when you want to go and build. If there's a feature to be built, they kind of leave it up to you what you would like to build using. So we can kind of choose which technologies we're interested in, and kind of if there's something new out and we want to try and build using that, we're given the freedom to do so, which is kind of a great part of where I work. We enjoy that, and we enjoy learning new things. So yeah, a mixture of maintenance and building new features and releasing those.
Great. Okay, so Deepali, how does it look with working at Runway?
Yes, so for us, so we have our existing website. So we build new features in the website. So we build new features to improve productivity for the end users, or to improve the efficiency for the end users. So mostly we work with UX designers to create a UI that we want to develop. So for every feature, we work with UX designer, we work with product manager, and the rest of the team. So we take care of developing a feature from start to end, and then even we work at the level of user level testing. So we work with users if they are happy with the code that we have written, if the feature that we have developed, if it is useful for them. So it's really interesting, like from start to end, how the transition goes for a feature. So it's really interesting to so mostly it will be like you'll have to take ownership of developing a feature from start to end.
Great. Okay. So very interesting insights there into both what it looks like there. So maybe at Deepali, I'll just stay with you for the next question, which was why is web development and maybe important in business today? So how does it fit into a company's operations?
If we look at any business, for instance, like any business has their online presence these days. So they have their own websites. And even for like business, so the operations that they do, so they need to make use of internet. So they need internet. So that's why they need a website for it. They need a web application. So for that, so web development is really necessary. The skills of developing a websites are really necessary even going forward, because every data that we see on the internet, or every operation that a business needs to perform, has to make use of website or web development. So that's why I would say like the skills of a web developer will go a long way moving forward in future as well.
Great. Okay, Jamie, do you have anything to add there? Why web development is really important in business in today's world?
Yeah, it's kind of probably hard to describe it without kind of stating the obvious, I suppose. Like it's pretty well known that more and more businesses is trying to go online, or they can access much bigger markets probably than just having a shop. They can have a shop to the world online. And it's our job as web developers to be the kind of translator between the business and the customer. I was just thinking like the kind of concept of buying clothes online, and if we as web developers were able to make a better way for people to be able to fit on clothes, that's what we should do, or could, if we could, we would do that. Yeah. No, I think that's all I have.
Yeah. Okay. And then Deepali, maybe there was another question we had was, so if someone was watching this and they wanted to work as a web developer, what advice would you give anybody who's considering a career in web development?
Okay, so I would like state my personal experience. So like when I started learning web development, so I started with basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and I was pretty involved when I was learning that. So that took me so far this way. So I would say like sticking to basics of core website development, which is like technologies such as HTML and CSS and JavaScript. If someone is pretty clear with these concepts while they are starting like learning new, so if they are their basic core concepts are clear, so they can learn any new web development framework. So these days we have many JavaScript frameworks for web development, right? So we have React.js, we have AngularJS, we have Native.js. So any new framework one can learn if they are clear with the basics. So I would like suggest anyone who wants to learn web development that stick to basics. If your basics are clear of core web development, then learning a new framework would be pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay. And Jamie, what would you say to anybody who's considering a career in web development?
Yeah, I think Deepali's some good points there. I think learning the basics is a good place to start. Yeah, one thing you could learn the basics, but there's frameworks as well. And just one small little point on frameworks, I think they kind of guide you into nice architecture. So I'd say if you find yourself in a position where you're facing a kind of a larger project, consider a framework, because they'll push you into a nicer architecture, which will be nicer back to you in say 5 years' time. It's just one little tip, but more generally, web development is a huge. There's a huge amount of knowledge in the area, and it can be daunting for someone starting. You get more kind of used to that as you go on, and it's more kind of a matter of your day-to-day attitude towards it, and just take in what you can, a small piece at a time.
Yeah. Okay. And look, I'm just going to get to a couple of questions we've had coming through. One of them, it comes up quite a lot. I think it's a Jonathan here. Is if you're learning coding, do you need to be good at maths? Would anyone like to jump in and answer that?
I would say not necessarily. So like coding is completely different from maths. So like one shouldn't be worried about like not being good at math and have a fear of start learning coding. So I would say no, go for it.
Yeah.
Like having maths knowledge is not that necessary.
So yeah, I know it comes up quite a lot, isn't it, with coding? But it's actually a different thing. It's hard to explain why it's different, but it really is different. Another question I know we're asked quite a lot is, can a complete beginner learn this without any prior knowledge? Deepali, what do you think?
I would say definitely yes. Like right now we have a batch that is going on. So the students who started, so they were quite fresh. Like they didn't knew anything about coding. Like, but now it's been like 4 weeks. This is 4th week, and they're making a great progress. So this I'm speaking from experience. You know, like from three weeks back, what progress we had and what progress we have now. So that's a huge difference. So I would say definitely like one can easily learn.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. So just for everyone at home, Deepali is actually currently teaching a class who started in May. So, and you're right, they have come on a lot, haven't they? And now they're looking at their projects. They're starting to build their own websites. So that's really happened really quickly within the space of just under a month. So it was really good to see. So Jamie, what do you think about all of that?
Yeah, I think yeah, you could easily, yeah, definitely you could start as a complete beginner. One thing I could say would be that there's a huge amount of resources online for web development or any kind of programming, because programmers like the internet. So it's just one thing to be aware of as a beginner. You'll kind of find maybe there's like 5-6 websites, or you might find more, but there is definitely a huge resource like using Google, and you'll find what you're looking for pretty quickly, be it as a beginner or more advanced.
Yeah, and Jamie, just so I know, another question's come in here is, what is the difference between the front end and the back end? Would you like to have a go at that one?
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of a core concept of web development. What I would consider anyway, the front end would be the client facing side, and the back end is the server. So probably for a simple example, when you want to, let's say, check the weather on the internet, you'll open your browser and you'll type in met.ie or weather, and the back end would be the server pulling. When you type meta.ie into your client, into your browser, once you press return, that goes off and it looks for the server. The server has to load the page and send it back to you. So that side is the back end, and when it sends it back to you, your browser loads it, and that's the front end that you see. Maybe the languages. The server can have a few different types of languages. With, let's say, on the PHP stack, the server might load that page using PHP, and it'll send it out back to you. And on your side, you've got HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that run within your browser to load that page, which is the information that's been sent back from the met.ie server. That's probably as clear as mud.
And you know what? If you're listening to these and these acronyms and the different things, I actually hadn't heard a lot of them before myself, but now I'm getting used to them. So you do get used to them. But all of the things mentioned there on the front end, which is, the web part of the website, which you see, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then on the back end PHP, they're all covered in the course. So I don't, Deepali, would you agree with that on the difference between the front end and the back end? And
yes, definitely.
Deepali, maybe to tell them quickly what each of these things does, these different, whether it's HTML, Java, what do these things actually do?
Yes. So if we talk about front end, so whatever we see on the browser whenever we are visiting any website, so that is a front end. So the technologies that are used for front end development are HTML. So HTML is used to create a structure of the website, like where do we want to place which block. So HTML is used for structuring. CSS is used for styling the web page. So like adding different types of colors, choosing different fonts. And then JavaScript is I would say it's a glue that binds everything together. So whenever we want to add any user action in the website, so let's say if user wants to order something from website, so any user action that user performs. So if user clicks on a button or user types in some information, so all of these things are taken care by JavaScript. So JavaScript is kind of, it handles interactions or dynamism of the website, and HTML and CSS are used to create a structure and a style of the website, I would say.
Very good. Yeah, and all of that, of course, is covered in the course, isn't it? So maybe for a final question here, because I think that was maybe the last one from the audience, is I'll put it to both of you, maybe one at a time. What do you think would be the top 2 or 3 attributes you'd really need to be a great web developer or to learn web development?
I can start. So first, I would say, like, as I already mentioned, to learn basics well, like how exactly all of these pieces fits together, like how HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then in terms of backend, how PHP databases, how these all pieces work together. So this is the first thing that you need to learn or you need to remember. And the second thing is practice, of course, because like website, as JB already said, that website development is huge. Like we have huge number of resources available. So you need to practice a lot. And with this course, like every week we are learning new information. So for persisting that new information that we are like learning, so you need to practice a lot. Like, every week, whatever we are learning, so we need to practice. And third thing I would say, so whatever practice that we are doing, we need to apply it to a real-time website. So the project that the students will be working, so apply everything to that project. Then only, you will get an idea of how exactly things works. So you will get the whole picture then. Okay, this was the piece that we learned in past. This is what we practiced, and this is how it really works. So I would say these 3 things will go together.
Very good. Thank you very much. And you're right. And it is about practice, isn't it? And hard work, but anyone can do it if they have the motivation. So Jamie, what would you think would be the top 2 or 3 attributes of a great web developer?
Yeah, I think attention to detail is a good one. I've worked with quite a few guys, and you see a lot of different styles of code, and but I always kind of think the guys who are really focused on kind of finishing what they do well and getting it all tidied up. It just I suppose for anyone coming along and looking at their code afterwards, it's much nicer. So kind of attention to detail. Kind of a good attitude to learning, I think, is good. Don't be afraid. And just as I say, just keep taking it one step at a time. Take in what you can today. That's it. That's it. I think a great web developer.
Yeah.
And
I suppose also it might be a good one to talk about is I heard communication might be important, because you have quite a few stakeholders, don't you, that you're building products for or
absolutely
with. So is that a part of it too?
I think it's something I have learned as I've went through where I work now and become better at it. I was kind of determined to not be afraid of it, but actually dealing with clients who use the system. The more I do it, the easier I find it, and the better I get on when I do it. But it is absolutely a huge impact, or hugely important. It's important, like when you've got something that needs to be built or a feature request, to communicate. The better you are at communicating, the better the product is going to be at the end. Trying to hash out what is needed before you even start building it.
Yeah. Just before we go, Deepali, do you have anything to say on that, on communication with stakeholders? And I know Rent the Runway, you're dealing with either the testing team, the marketing team, whoever it might be.
Yes, I definitely agree with Jamie here. So while we are working on any feature or any piece of code that we work on day-to-day basis, so we have to communicate with a product manager who has a broader perspective of the website, that like he is kind of owner of the website. So we need to communicate with him, with that person, to understand how exactly this feature will be helpful for the end users. So we need to first really understand that before we start developing the code. And then second would be with the testing team. So the piece of code that we write, that needs to be tested thoroughly by a QA team. So we need to communicate with them as well. And sometimes we might need to communicate with the actually end user if they are comfortable with the feature that we have developed. So I would say communication is like one of the attributes that a good web developer should have, because at every point, and like irrespective of which company that a person is working for, this communication piece goes a long way. Like you'll have to work with at least a few stakeholders anywhere you're working with. So I would say that's a good one.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Look, if any last minute questions come through, I'll get to them, but I'll start finishing now by just saying thank you to both our lecturers for joining us at this lunchtime. If you are interested in this course, the next one is happening on the 21st of June, and it'll start then on the Monday, and it's 3 times a week for 8 weeks. It's in the evenings, 6:30 till 9:30. Everything happens online. So if you're a student here, you get access to our student hub where you can see the schedule, you can contact the teachers, the staff. You also get your slides there. And then the lectures happen online. Everything's live, nothing's pre-recorded. So it's 50% a lecture with theory, 50% then you're actually working practical work online with the lecturer supervising you and helping you with that. You also get the slides and the recordings the day after, which all appear in the hub later. So everything's there for you in one easy to find place. So that, as I said, goes on the 21st. If you, as part of that course, I think I mentioned before, you'll be registered into our career center, where afterwards we'll help you with your CV and get your profile out there to our partners and try to get you interviews and find you a role in the area. Now, just to be very clear, we're training you to an entry level. So we're looking to get you an entry level role or internships. And these aren't advanced courses, but they are for beginners. We're being trained up to an entry level in web development. We also, as part of the course, have a second chance policy. So you get to do the course twice within 12 years. Sorry, not 12 years, 12 months. Within 12 months. So if you sit the course, you might think in 6 months, I want to go up and brush up on the front end or the back end, or there's a part of it I want to, or maybe you found a role and you want to just do the course again while you're being inducted in, just to get it all refreshed. So you can sit the course again for free as part of it. Now, we find maybe 1 to 2 out of 5 of every students do that, but the option's there for you as a safety net, because we realize the information is new. You know, everybody learns at different times. So if you are finding it difficult at the start, you know that you can do it again, and this isn't your one shot at it. And we're the only coding school that currently do that, I believe, in Europe, actually. I believe we're the only ones who do that. Now, if you are interested, our website is www.dublincoding.ie, and on there you can find information on the course. You can download our brochure. You can also ask us a question through that. You can also contact us at info@dublincoding.ie. If you want to get me personally, it's luke@dublincoding.ie. If you want a consultation call or a follow-up after this, absolutely fine. Or any questions you want answered. The course costs 1590, but there are some discounts available, which you can see on the website. But for now, I'll just tell you the website again. It's dublincoding.ie. And thank you very much for watching. I'd like to thank the lecturers for joining us and give them a chance to say goodbye to everybody.
Thanks for this event, Luke. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you. And thank you, Jamie, as well.
Thanks, Mo. My pleasure.
Okay, folks. Thank you very much. And have a nice day. And we hope to see you in the course soon.
Yeah. See you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.